Hey y'all, it's K Divine coming back with another quick message. This one was on my heart while I was walking, so I really just wanted to do this real quick to see maybe this might help somebody going through a tough time. I want to briefly talk about overcoming loneliness. And it's not easy. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for it. Like, I may be alone, but I rarely ever feel lonely these days. Some days I do wish I had someone to talk to, like, directly about what's going on with me, and have a real friend. But honestly, a lot of people are fake anyways. A lot of people don't want to do the real work it takes to maintain real friendships. And because you'll notice that in your relationships, where when you're going through a crisis or you're struggling, look at the way that those people respond to you, or when something good happens to you, look at how those people respond. I remember when I first started telling my ex about all the stuff that was going on with me, as far as like the stuff that was going on at my job and how those people were mistreating me, and I was like, it's something deeper than just them folks not liking me. And he was like, stop being a victim, and like yelled at me as if I was being irrational about the way that I was feeling, at the time. And I'm like, I've been going through, and I told him, I was like, it's heavy. Like, it's heavy to carry this burden of being mistreated by people who are telling lies about you. And it's like, the reason why he did that to me was because he was doing the same thing. He was spreading lies about me that weren't true, and had been for a really long time. So how do you combat the loneliness because okay, let's just pause. Because, like, let's go back to your friends and family. So, when you find that when they respond to you in a manner that you still feel alone, like, I've always felt the loneliest when I was with other people, because no one ever really tried to understand me. I was often misunderstood, or people just straight up ignored me. Like, everybody wanted me to be a side character in their story, and I never got that. Like, stay in the background, stay over there, don't be too much. And it's like, I am who I am, and I am the main character in my story. So I'm gonna keep doing what I'm gonna do. And if you don't like that, then that means you gotta move on. So, how do you combat that lonely feeling? Honestly, you gotta fall madly in love with yourself. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, I may not be at my happiest right now just because of everything that's going on and everything that's happening in my life. But one thing that I have not lost is I completely love myself. I had someone solicit me like a week or so ago for some money, like, do something strange for a little piece of change type of deal. And I told him what my boundary was. I was like, yeah, no, I don't do that. I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't do favors like that for people I don't know. And he's like, oh, well, I want to get to know you. It's like, and he was old too, He was at least in his 50s or 60s. And he told me, he was like, I thought that you were 24 or 25. I'm like, yeah, you thought I was some stupid girl that is desperate. And I'm like, I'm not that type of desperate. I'm not. And that's why I'm talking about being madly in love with yourself. Like, I love myself so much, I would never lower myself to do something like that. Even though I'm going through a struggle, I would never do nothing like that. especially after everything that I know. Like, now that I like understand things like soul ties and just not wanting to share my body with just anybody in any capacity. Like, I don't even want to share my time or my breath on just anybody, because it's like, for what? Everybody isn't even deserving of that. And this is what I mean by falling madly in love with yourself. When you are in love with yourself, yeah, you might feel lonely sometimes, but honestly, being in your own company, you won't feel bad. Like, I've been alone for a while. Um and I mean, like, solely alone, like single, not in any relationship, for almost a year. I've been without friends for over a year. I've been without my family for over a year. So it is difficult. I'm not gonna sit here and hold you up and make it sound like it's so easy. And I mean, I do enjoy my alone time, but I don't often find myself feeling lonely. Like, I don't find myself craving attention or um, validation from people, but mostly because it's like I get my validation from the Most High. I don't. God already told me who I am, regardless of my circumstances. God already told me who I am, so I don't need validation outside of myself and outside of the Most High to tell me who I am and whose I am. I don't need validation from a man. I don't need validation from my mother. I don't need validation from a single soul on this planet, and I am comfortable with that. And honestly, that's kind of intimidating for some people, because when people realize that you're comfortable being alone, it's hard for them to find that angle to manipulate you, because it's like they'll try to, especially if you're going through like a smear campaign or some sort of slander. A lot of times manipulative people and narcissistic people do that in efforts to isolate you and to have people looking at you a certain way, looking at you in a negative light. But when they realize that you don't care about other people's validation, and they don't, you're not craving, you're not begging for these people's approval, well, that kind of puts a monkey wrench in their plans, because a lot of people are looking for admiration. A lot of people are looking for validation from other people. They want people to tell them that they're doing a good job and that they're fabulous and all these other things, because they can't find that within themselves. And that just comes with doing the inner work. You really, when I tell you, you have to become madly in love with yourself. Like, you have, and people try to call you conceited, but it's like, at the end of the day, you have to be with yourself the most out of anybody else in this world. You have to sit with yourself every single day. So why not love yourself? Why not? That doesn't make you conceited. That's actually one of the most spiritual things that you can do, is love yourself unconditionally, even when you make mistakes, even when you don't get it right the first time, even when you mess up. Because you're human, and you can't, you're not perfect. You're not going to always get it right. And there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. You just have to be the bigger person within yourself, and realize that, and say, you know what, I messed up. And I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in order to rectify this and fix it. That's what you have to do. And sitting with yourself, listening to that inner voice, listening to your, like, you're going to, especially if you've ever struggled with being alone. I, for one, have always been alone most of my life, ever since I was a child. Me and my sister, we have a 4-year age difference, and after a certain age, she didn't really want to play with me and stuff anymore, or we kind of separated. So I was alone a lot of the time by myself. I didn't have a lot of friends either, and the friends that I did have were, they had other closer relationships. So I've always kind of been by myself. So this is, for me, it's a little bit different, but I know for some people, if you're used to having people around you all the time and you're going through something where it's like this is like the first time in your life where you've never really been by yourself. Sorry, there's this fly all around me. You never really been by yourself. It can be hard, and it can feel lonesome. It can feel like the world is ending and that the world is against you. And even if it is, like, you have to understand that you have to be your number one fan and be like, okay, well, if you don't like what I'm doing, I like what I'm doing. And eventually people will come, and your tribe will come. The people who like you, as you raise your vibration, your soul tribe will be attracted to you. They may not all be coming in the physical form as far as like friends and stuff, but if you have like some sort of social platform, they may come, as your followers, as your members on your channel, or your clients. Yeah, definitely. Ow, shoot. Hit my knee. But definitely your clients, like if you have a business of some sort, those are the people who are attracted to what you're doing. And that's really what matters. Forget all of that other stuff. Forget all of that, I need everyone to like me, because everyone just simply is not going to like you. And quite frankly, when you have dreams that are bigger than the average person's types of dreams, you're going to find yourself in a state of being where no one really listens to you, and they don't really care what you're saying, because they think that because they think small, they feel like you should be small. Like some of these people, there's nothing wrong with working regular 9-to-5 jobs. I encourage those that feel that are drawn to that to do that. You got to pay your bills, you have to do what you have to do. But for some people, that it just doesn't work. I'll speak specifically as a neurodivergent autistic person. Like regular corporate jobs and regular jobs in general, I can do them. They're just really exhausting. And because we live in a society that doesn't really understand autism, and people say things like, oh, you don't look autistic. Or, well, everyone's a little autistic these days. Like, the fact that people actually say that lets us know just how uneducated we are as a collective on things like neurodivergence and autism as a whole. Because it's like if we were all a little autistic, then it would be a lot more accepted. People wouldn't see your differences as an autistic person and automatically like, because like I don't like eye contact all the time. Like I force myself to do it because you learn to mask over time, but I don't always like eye contact. So I'll oftentimes look down or look around or like, and some people think that I'm being rude, but it's like actually me focusing on this over here or me looking down, I can hear you better. I can pay attention to what you're saying, but they don't know that. And I don't walk up to everybody talking about hey, my name is Kay and I'm autistic. I don't, because quite frankly, it's no one's business. If it's necessary to disclose, I disclose. But at this point in my life, I realize like most people really don't care. And a lot of people don't really know what to do with that information anyways, because they're not going to change their behavior. They're still going to call you weird, and they're going to say, well, I didn't like that she did this and she did that, blah, blah, blah. They don't realize that they don't want to admit to the fact that they are discriminating against you because you're autistic. Because of your differences. They're like, well, this and like, oh, well, she's autistic. Well, still, they'll say, well, they're just using that as an excuse. And it's like, it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. But anyways, getting back to the topic. But, being alone, it's not all that bad. And honestly, this is, being alone is going to help you. I feel like it's going to help you communicate better with people in the future, because when you get really in tune with yourself, you can start being a lot more honest with yourself. I feel like when you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people, there's always like some level of performance there. Like and I'm not saying like later on and with all your friendships, but before you kind of awaken, before you kind of get to that point, like a lot of the conversations and the interactions that you have, a lot of it is very performative. Like for those of us that have been through like abuse and things like that, a lot of us are people pleasers, and being as a recovering people pleaser is definitely a performance, because I used to say yes to a lot of things I really meant no to, and then I would be resentful the whole time while I'm doing this task, or like, well, I really don't want to do this. It's like, well, why did you say yes? And it's like, because I don't want to lose people. I don't want people to hate me and think that I'm a bad person. But it's like, you know, confirmation. But it's like, if those people really cared about you, they wouldn't have you doing all that extra stuff. They wouldn't have you acting crazy and going out of your way for them when they're not doing reciprocating that same energy. They would not be doing that to you if they really cared about you. And being alone, you really can start looking at people objectively. You can, you know, take a, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's your mom, you have to take them titles away from people, and you got to look at them as a human being and look at their behaviors and say, this person is not well, and this person is, you know, not this person is not behaving in a way that is in alignment with the life that I'm trying to live. So I cannot have this person around. And you're going to have to love people from a distance. You don't have to stop loving them. You don't have to stop caring about them, but you will have to love them from a distance. You may have to cut people completely off. And honestly, after a while, after you cut people off, you start looking at it differently and being like, why do I want to keep that person in my life anyways? I don't care what the relationship is. I don't care if it's your mama. I don't care if it's your sister. I don't care about none of that. When you start coming into the understanding and realization, like, these folks really don't like me like that. These folks really don't care about me. It doesn't matter what their title is in your life. If people aren't supporting you, what are they there for? They serve no purpose. Just to say that people love to say, like, well, we're family. Family has to stick together. Says who? How can we stick together as a family if no one's actually supporting one another? How can we stick together at just that blind? They want you to be loyal to the name in itself. And it's like, no, I refuse to be loyal to anybody who isn't loyal to me. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around that. You cannot stick around me like that. Period. I will not have it. And so you will end up being alone a lot. And sometimes, like, I'm seeing, I wish I had my cards. I'm seeing the Hermit in my mind's eye. Like, you will have to go within, and you have to be alone in order to go within. Isolation often leads to elevation. Okay? And the Most High often does isolate you when he's trying to move you into a new direction and get you away from people. Because if he doesn't isolate you, you gonna keep going in the same patterns, and you could lose your life, or you could just, fall deep into that sunken place, where you don't really see yourself, and you're not really present. You're not really operating in the present moment. You're kind of just on autopilot, moving around in space, kind of just all over the place. And that's no way to live. It's really not. It's no way to live. And you deserve better. You deserve to have people in your life that actually reciprocate the same energy that you have, that you put out. And when people aren't reciprocating that energy, it's time to cut them loose. Like, life is too short. Life is way too short. There's a whole bunch of people married right now who don't even like each other. Think about that. They don't even like each other. They may have connected based on some frivolous types of things, like, oh, well, we were in the same clubs, and, we did the same type of things, and, oh, well, we really liked each other. It's just like, it's more attachment than it is attraction. Like, it's a lot of, just like I said, it's these frivolous things that people think that they're connecting on. You're not really connecting. You're just attaching yourself to people. And that's no way to live, honestly. Because had I stayed with my ex, I promise y'all, I would have stayed 195 pounds. I probably would have been 250 pounds by now. If I would have stayed with my ex, I promise you. Well, after my pregnancy, after I gave birth, like, my postpartum, if I wasn't actively looking to start healing and work on myself, like if I wasn't desperate to do it, to really make a change in my life, I definitely would have kept doing what I was doing, just eating everything in sight. That's just what I did, because that was how I coped. I mean, as like I'm a recovering binge eater, so you know that's a story within itself. We'll get into that later. But that's just how I coped with my emotions. I love sugar. I love candy and snacks and cake. And I love to bake. Like that's one of the things I love to do. I love baking. I'll make some biscuits in a minute. Like I'll make some muffins. I love, like, I'm learning how to, I was learning how to make like cakes and trying to make smaller cakes and cupcakes and stuff like that. Like I can't wait till I have like a big kitchen so that I can do all that stuff by myself. You know, one of my goals when life starts to pick up is, when I have my kitchen, like I want to make everything from scratch, because that's the lifestyle I love. I love baking and making stuff. Like I love using whole foods and everything. Like I know it's easier and quicker to do certain things, but I want to make my own stuff. That's just me. But see, even like, see, when you're in that loneliness and stuff like that, you discover things about yourself like that you love. Like if I wasn't alone, I wouldn't have discovered my love for cooking and stuff like that, and just trying out new recipes and things of that nature. And that, I mean, I started back when I was in college. I mean, let's say 2015, 2016. When I started realizing, like, I really like trying to make stuff on my own. And that actually stemmed from a job I had. Hold on. I feel like that was a spiritual attack. It could have been, but it's okay. But, it's just, if I wasn't in that lonely state, I probably wouldn't have discovered some of those things that I really enjoy. And I feel like you will find a lot of things that you enjoy when you are by yourself, because you got to be in tune with yourself, oneness. That's where it's going to come from. So, if you're struggling with it, ask yourself, the people that you're craving to be around, like, do they really show you love? Do they really appreciate you? Do they really understand you? Are they really there for you? And if the answer is no, what are you missing out on? What are they there for? What are they there for? But that was my message for now, guys. I love you. And I hope to make some more messages soon. Hopefully to post maybe a couple readings or so. I might work on that tonight, but it's your girl K Divine. I'll see you guys later. Bye.